Ladies and gentlemen, Baruchim Habayim, we bid you welcome to the first major event in preparation for Yeshiva University's centennial, which will take place in 1986. May I ask you to please rise for the national anthems, for the Hatikva, followed by the Star-Spangled Banner, led by Cantor, director of the Philip and Sarah Bell School of Jewish Music here at Yeshiva University, accompanied by the New York Postal Service Band, to remain standing after the anthem for the invocation, which will be presented by Dr. Leo Landman, Dean of the Bernard Revel Graduate School, the school established by Dr. Revel of blessed memory, the school which bears his name.
Yehudi Hamiyah Ulfasei Mizrach Kadima Ayin Letzion Sophia Olav Edat Tikvaseinu HaTikva Shenat Alpayim Liyotam Chavshi Be'artzeinu Eretz Zion Yerushalayim Liyotam Chavshi Be'artzeinu Eretz Zion Yerushalayim. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare was bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Avinu Shabashamayim, our Heavenly Father, we are gathered this morning to honor the memory of the founder and first president of Yeshiva College. History records instances of personages who have transplanted Torah onto new climes. Ezra and Hillel, both coming from Babylonia to Israel, sowed the seeds of Torah Judaism. Moshe ben Chanoch brought Talmud study to Spain. These and others like them did not just translate Torah to a new world, but transplanted it. Dr. Bernard Revel of blessed memory essentially engaged in this aspect of transplantation of Torah. He was among the first Lithuanian Jews who came to these shores, and instead of assimilating into the melting pot, he transplanted rabbinic learning from the European Torah academies, the yeshivos, to the American soil. He combined scientific training with Talmudic studies while maintaining traditional observance. If Yeshiva University today is a unique institution, it is because Dr. Revel set the stage upon which is enacted a drama whose hero is knowledge and whose heroine is deed. What he said and what he did in those early days appeared to some as unrealistic, to others as outmoded, and to many as radical. Now, in retrospect, all agree that his achievements are the foundations upon which the position of Torah through Judaism in this country rests. In these days of uncertainty, when the very pillars of civilization are threatened, we are grateful to be among those who are proud citizens of our country, the United States of America. This country has been exceedingly good to our people, and we are grateful that you have blessed our nation with peace, a peace that shall be deep and everlasting, no mere cessation of hostilities, no mere sheathing of the sword and muzzling of the cannons, but a peace that shall sweep away all prejudice, uproot all antipathies, suppress all bigotry, and bring happiness to our nation and to the world. Guide and bless the president of Yeshiva University, Dr. Norman Lamm, who has not merely followed in the footsteps of his illustrious predecessors, but has expanded upon the works of their hands. Bless the professors, Rosh Yeshiva, teachers, and above all the students of this institution, so that we may band together with a perfect heart to spread that light which thou hast graciously shed upon this world. Amen.
Again, I welcome you. We're so pleased to see that all of you are here. We are particularly happy to welcome on the dais, on the stage, the members of our various boards who are present. Some are in the audience, public officials, our assemblymen, my fellow vice presidents in the administration, the postal officials, friends and family of Yeshiva University, and particularly of the Revel and Travis families who have come from all over the United States to pay tribute to the memory of Dr. Bernard Revel Zatzal, the first president of Yeshiva. In 1942, Dr. Samuel Belkin Zatzal, our second president, wrote an evaluation of his predecessor in a publication which we entitled at that time Eidenu. It was an expression of our sorrow, and some of the students and some who were then our administrators. Dr. Belkin was the dean of Yeshiva and of the graduate school, which later bore the name of Dr. Revel, wrote evaluations. I quote from that which Dr. Belkin said. To us, Dr. Revel meant the yeshiva. He was not only the Rosh HaYeshiva, the president, but the indivisible own creation, the unity of yeshiva. None of us ever thought of Dr. Revel as the man and the yeshiva as an institution. They were one and the same. Upon this unity, he poured out his whole soul and his entire intellectual and spiritual personality. The stamp of his personality and philosophy will always remain the symbol and essence of our great school of learning. May I suggest that Dr. Belkin spoke, let me read the last words again. The stamp of his personality and philosophy will always remain the symbol and essence of our great school of learning. It is that which the United States postage stamp will be. The stamp which will bear his likeness will be the symbol and the essence of this great institution which he established, over which he presided, and from which he was called at a very young age. He was only 55 years of age when he was called on high. The stamp itself will be issued during our centennial year in 1986 in the Great American Series. And it is appropriate, however, that we should gather today in this auditorium, in this building. Here, in this auditorium, he presided. I saw him for the first time personally in 1929, when my older brother received smicha. It was the first Chag HaSmicha, the first ordination ceremony in this building, and he presided. There still rings in my ears the chant which he led, that which was the singing which was part of his soul, which he expressed in joy. Baruch Elokeinu shebra'anu lichvodo. Blessed be our God who has created us to do him honor. He did honor to the Almighty, this pioneer, this visionary, this dreamer. There sits in the audience Rabbi Shurin, who wrote an article in that same publication entitled Cholem Velochem, a dreamer and a fighter. Dr. Belkin spoke well of him, but all of us remember the dream of Dr. Revel, and all of us remember that it was not easy. This idea of synthesis, the best in our heritage combined with the best in general culture and civilization. He nurtured this institution, and as Dr. Landman said, established a college, presided at commencements, presided in this very auditorium, because our commencements at that time were here in the auditorium. In September of 1934, I recall it well because I came to Yeshiva then as a freshman from the city of Baltimore. I still can picture before my mind's eye his presentation of the honorary degree to Albert Einstein here in this very auditorium. How proud he would have been that the Yeshiva University, because he looked forward to a university, he established the first graduate school, would have a medical college that would bear the name of the Albert Einstein College of Medicine. How proud he would have been, even as he presented an honorary degree in this auditorium to Benjamin Cardozo, Supreme Court Justice, that this university would have a law school bearing the name the Cardozo School of Law. He loved scholarship, this of the intellect. He loved Torah, this Eloi, this prodigy who surrounded himself with the great, with those who taught the Torah in the finest tradition possible, with the Meitcheter Eloi Zatzal, and we are happy that Libby Mafshewitz is here, the daughter of the Meitcheter Eloi. She was Dr. Revel's secretary, we recall. Her husband, the illustrious Dr. Mafshewitz, the assistant to Governor Cuomo. Our Bochen, he used to examine us. He examined 500 students every quarter. He examined us when we got smicha, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, 3 hours in that little office that he occupied with a modesty that was his. He loved to teach. He loved his students, his boys. How when he stood up at a chagiga, he would start by saying, Bonai heim asher nosan li ho Elokim bazeh. My sons, we were his children. We were in awe of him. But he didn't want to leave us. He was the lochem. Sick as he was, he came with Mrs. Revel, Zichrona Levracha, to the final shiur which he gave. We sat at his feet. We studied with him. He was our teacher. He no longer could see, but the vision that he had will remain forever. And as was said, he loved this country, not merely for opportunities. This was the immigrant who came here and who built this great institution to give back to this country that which we had received. In his last commencement speech in 1940 in this auditorium, the war had already come to Europe, not yet to the United States. He spoke of the hurricane of hate sweeping over 3 continents, and he spoke of our country as the only beacon of light in the darkness closing in about us. How true it is, that beacon of light, the beacon which next year we will observe in the Statue of Liberty's 100th year, and which this year we observe today here, as the Postal Service will honor him, through him Yeshiva, and through us, all of American Jewry. We are happy not merely that you have come to join with us, but we are particularly pleased that the President, the Chairman of our Board of Trustees, Mr. Herbert Tenzer, is here. He will be speaking at the luncheon later. I would like to acknowledge his presence, even as that of Mr. Charles Ballin, the Chairman of our Cardozo School of Law. And I'm pleased to present to you now, for comments, our National General Chairman of Yeshiva University Centennial Celebration, member of our Board of Trustees, Chairman Emeritus of the Albert Einstein College of Medicine, of its board, in whose honor, just recently, the hospital of the Albert Einstein College of Medicine was renamed the Jack Weiler Hospital. It was a beautiful day, Mr. Weiler, and we're pleased that now you have come to Yeshiva so that you can honor the memory of Dr. Revel Zatzal, even as Yibadei L'chaim, we honored Mr. Weiler on that beautiful day in his honor. Mr. Jack Weiler.
Dr. Lamm, Postmaster Duka, Dr. Miller, the Honorable Herbert Tenzer, special guests, worthy rabbis, ladies and gentlemen, and all you college boys or high schoolers. High school here too? This ceremony marks a very significant milestone in the history of the American Jewish community and Yeshiva University. 100 years old next year. 10 years after Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone. 7 years after Thomas Alva Edison invented the first electric bulb. But 17 years before, the Wright brothers flew the first plane. And about 50 years ago, I flew on the TWA on the first strata cruiser, which made Los Angeles in a record 18 hours. And I paid $100 extra for a sleeper. Today, the Concorde flies to Europe in 3.5 hours. Great miracles have been accomplished, including radio, television, oh yes, the great computer age in the 80s. And of course, our great astronauts flying to the moon, back and forth. And the fantastic breakthrough in medicine in the past 100 years, beyond belief, all have taken place in this era. And much, 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 much more. We are grateful to our government and to the postal authorities who found it appropriate to issue a stamp not only to commemorate the centennial of our university, but also to honor our revered, beloved, and creative first president, Dr. Bernard Revel. The life of Dr. Revel constitutes a colorful chapter in a great American saga. Born in Lithuania, he emigrated to the United States at the age of 21. Enrolled in a Rabbi Isaac Elchanan Theological Seminary. Earned a master's degree from New York University. A PhD from Dropsy College. And believe it or not, he successfully involved himself in oil exploration in Oklahoma. And when he made his kill in the oil fields, he took on the job of presidency of Yeshiva College. At that time, he could afford that salary. The unveiling of this U.S. stamp is only the first event in a series which will mark the centennial of our great university. We will culminate our celebration at a centennial dinner in December of 1986, when we will honor 100 outstanding Americans who have made major contributions to the cultural, scientific, and economic life of our great nation. As General Chairman of the Centennial Celebration, I want to express to the United States government and to the postal authorities represented by Mr. Duka, on behalf of the trustees, the administration, the faculty, and the students for the singular honor that is being paid to Dr. Bernard Revel, to Yeshiva University, and to the entire Jewish community. I came across an explanation of what a centenarian is. And here's what it said. A centenarian is a person who has lived to be 100 years old. He never smoked, or he smoked all his life. He used whiskey for 80 years, or he never used it. He was a vegetarian, or he wasn't a vegetarian. And if we all follow these rules carefully, we can all become centenarians. Thank you.
Thank you. Jack, for you, we wish bis 120. Honor, my privilege now, to call upon the successor president, a distinguished and gifted man whose doctorate, incidentally, stems from the Bernard Revel Graduate School. Our president, Rosh Yeshiva, Dr. Norman Lamm.
Dr. Miller, Mr. Tenzer, Mr. Weiler, distinguished members of government, the boards of Yeshiva, members of the faculty, students, and friends. It's a pleasure for me to extend especially to the family of the late Dr. and Mrs. Revel, a very warm welcome, and if it seems overwarm, attributed to climate rather than to emotion. And I shall begin by offering to Mr. Walter Duka, the Assistant Postmaster General of the United States, our warm thanks, an expression of genuine gratitude to you, Mr. Duka, through you to the Postmaster General, and to the entire administration and government of our beloved country for the honor being paid to our Dr. Revel. My most difficult task during these past 9 years of my presidency has not been financial, although God knows that has been agonizing. It has not been educational, although that has been very, very complex. It has not been communal, though it is not easy to steer a course in a community undergoing such vicissitudes and constant changes. But it has been personal and psychological, namely, a crushing awareness that I succeed and have to try to fill the shoes of two giants, the visionary founder, Dr. Bernard Revel of blessed memory, and that dynamic builder, my own teacher, my own Rabbi, Dr. Samuel Belkins, that's all. Both were brilliant scholars, sensitive human beings, devoted Jews, loyal Americans who loved this country, and who had, both of them, an enormous impact upon American Jewry and upon America. When I came as a freshman to Yeshiva College in 1945, a couple of generations after you, Dr. Miller, it was 5 years after Dr. Revel had already passed away. When I came here, the name Revel was a legend in these halls. I knew immediately that the founder of the school I was now attending was a man of high scholarship who had achieved greatness both as a traditional Talmudic scholar, a Talmud Chacham, and as a critical historian, an academic scholar of the first rank. He was a man who, as president, for years accepted no salary, and then had a duel with his board because he insisted upon accepting only a fraction of what they offered him. Insofar as I am concerned, a terrible president. Above all, he is one who formulated the soul of Yeshiva University. He defined for us our institutional mission, and his definition of our mission obtains to this very day, and it will continue to obtain for the future if I can help it. This occasion of the 100th birthday of Dr. Revel, the 99th of Yeshiva University, is one when we follow the teaching of the great prophet Yeshayahu, Isaiah, who said, Shimu Elai Rodfei Tzedek, Habitu El Tzur Chutzavtem. Hear me, all you who pursue justice. Look to the rock from which you were hewn. It is only right and just that we dedicate ourselves to our first president, the rock from which the soul, the mission, the essence of this institution was hewn. Of course, I must correct a misunderstanding. Dr. Revel was not the founder of Yeshiva University 100 years ago. At the age of 6, the great Rabbi Yitzchak Elchanan Spector, the Rav of Kovna, after whom our seminary is named, Rabbi Isaac Elchanan Theological Seminary, examined this 6-year-old youngster, Dov Revel, as he was then known, and proclaimed him an Ilui, a genius. And he was right, of course. But Dr. Revel was not that genius that at the age of 1 he could have founded a yeshiva and a university. So to make it clear, he is our first president, the founder of Yeshiva College, the one who formulated the concept of Torah Umada, the synthesis of traditional classical Jewish learning and culture with that of Western culture as represented in its highest sense by this country. He was the man who was able to take a struggling institution, indeed two struggling institutions, two little yeshivas, and pull them together, and pull and push and propel yeshiva into the arena of excellence and eminence. His historic achievement was in creating Yeshiva College, which later became Yeshiva University, was to forge a vital center in the Jewish community, a creative educational system that, without in the least compromising total dedication to classical Jewish study and life, was able at the same time to introduce students into an immersion in the best of Western culture, its science, its arts, its humanities. And this achievement of Dr. Revel had two consequences. For Jews, it meant that Western culture would not be regarded as alien, that there was an alternative between the two ways of total assimilation on the one hand or total ghettoization on the other, that we can and should be engaged in the confrontation with Western life with critical sympathy, Torah Umada. Dr. Revel did not have an easy time. He was attacked by both right and left. The right maintained that the opening up of Western culture to students of Torah was heresy. The left maintained that the attempt to continue Torah learning on the part of university students was parochial, segregationist, and un-American. All of them have 4 syllables, all of them equally meaningless in this sense. It was a difficult task. I'm glad to tell you that Dr. Belkin had the same problems. I'm even more pleased to tell you that the problem has not yet been solved. The same tensions exist today, and I hope that my successor, Im Yez Hashem, will be willing to continue that struggle equally. It means that for us, his students, his school, we have to be Jews. It's always intrigued me. The word Jew, very few people realize where it comes from. It's the abbreviation, the English abbreviation of Judean, someone who comes from Judea. Judea is named for Judah, the 4th son of the founder of our people, of Jacob. And he was called Yehuda, or Judah, because when he was born, his mother said, Hapam Odeh Hashem. Yehuda means thank God. In other words, the sense of gratitude is in the soul, in the culture, in the tradition, in the heritage of Judaism. We are here to say that we are not kfuyei tova, we are not ungrateful. We express our gratitude to the founder of Yeshiva College, our first president, at this occasion of his 100th birthday. And we are not alone, not only as Jews, but all of America, as citizens of this great country. It is a demonstration in practice of the teaching of cultural pluralism. What Dr. Revel taught was that there is an alternative to the melting pot, which took all these vibrant strands of immigrant culture and mixed them all together so that they lost their identity. And thus the potencies of ethnic diversity can contribute to the richness of America. In this sense, Dr. Revel was truly a great American. He was before his time when he envisioned well over a half a century ago the dynamic interrelationship between America and the Jewish immigrant community and its great tradition, a model for the development of minority groups in the larger context of this country. As we gather to celebrate the recognition by the United States government of Dr. Revel, we commit ourselves anew to his memory. Unfortunately, he had no direct survivors. The family here from the Revel Travis families of Bernard and Sarah Revel are the nephews and grandnephews and grandnieces. But I must tell you, the family, you're not alone. All of us who are the students of Dr. Revel or the students of his students, such as myself, we are his grandchildren. The Talmud teaches, Kol hamalamed ben beno Torah ki'ilu yolado. One who teaches another's child, Torah, it is as if he gave birth to him. So we are the grandchildren of Dr. and Mrs. Revel, and we are here to join you in reverencing the memory of this patriarch, not only of our school, but of our larger family, and to thank the United States government for allowing us to do this in such a splendid fashion. Yehei Zichro Baruch.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lamm. You are indeed a worthy successor of those two great giants. We are privileged today to have with us, representing the United States Postal Service, Mr. Walter E. Duka, Assistant Postmaster General for International Postal Affairs. Mr. Duka joined the Postal Service in 1982. His office develops bilateral postal conventions and agreements with foreign postal administrations. He was appointed to that office, I should say, in 82, but joined the Postal Service in 73, having worked as a newspaper reporter and editor for such institutions as the Washington Post, Young and Rubicam, and the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. I learned today in speaking with him before coming into the auditorium that he also served in the White House during President Carter's administration as an assistant press secretary. Despite a pressing schedule, Mr. Duka also serves as information director of President Reagan's Committee of Consumer Interests and as associate press secretary to the president. Mr. Duka has a master's degree from the Columbia University School of Journalism, and so coming uptown in this direction was really nothing new for Mr. Duka. We are very pleased to welcome him to Washington Heights, to Yeshiva University, to this auditorium. He is going to give the major address and will unveil the stamp design. It's my great pleasure to present Assistant Postmaster General Walter E. Duka.
Thank you very much, Dr. Miller, Dr. Lamm, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm extremely pleased to be here today with you representing the Postmaster General of the United States, Mr. Paul N. Carlin, for the unveiling of the design of a stamp to be issued next year as part of the Postal Service's Great American Series of postage stamps. The person we honor, I need hardly tell you, Dr. Bernard Revel, was indeed a great American and certainly an extraordinary human being. As you know and have been told this morning, he was a scholar, an educator, an administrator, a businessman, the first president and the guiding spirit of this great university, and above all, and in many ways, very clearly, a leader. In becoming part of this Great American Series, Dr. Revel will join the company of such distinguished figures as Horace Mann, Igor Stravinsky, Dr. Ralph Bunche, Pearl Buck, and Henry Clay, great Americans all, who in various ways have enriched the lives of so many persons and so favorably influence the course of our great country. It was in 1906 that Bernard Revel arrived in his country aboard a ship carrying hundreds of other refugees from the turmoil in Eastern Europe. He brought with him some few material possessions, an extraordinary intelligence, a dedication to culture and to strong moral values, and a vision that would culminate many years later in the form of this outstanding university. I will not retrace his early education, which you have been told about already this morning, except to note that in 1909, he had received a Master of Arts degree from New York University, and that 3 years later, he realized his very personal and important dream of becoming a United States citizen. In 1915, the Orthodox Jewish leadership in New York persuaded Dr. Revel to assume the presidency of Yeshiva Eitz Chaim, which had recently merged with Dr. Revel's alma mater, the Rabbi Elkainen Theological Seminary. Under Dr. Revel's able leadership, an innovative educational philosophy evolved that combined, as you have heard, secular and religious studies so as to meet the needs of young Jewish people seeking to adapt and contribute to their homeland. Soon after his curriculum reorganization was complete, Dr. Revel planned and nurtured Yeshiva College, as you certainly know, the first American college entirely under Jewish auspices. I need hardly tell you that Dr. Revel was extremely proud of this university. In describing the role of Yeshiva, Dr. Revel once said, and I quote, "It is our hope that the college will constitute contributor to the advance of American education." Without doubt, his gift to America did not end with his life, but continues as each new generation of students here expands its intellectual horizons and deepens its moral understanding. For all of these reasons, the Postal Service is extremely pleased to add the name of Dr. Bernard Revel to the list of great Americans it has honored through the issuance of U.S. postage stamps. Upon this unveiling, I know that you will agree that artist Tom Broad of Chevy Chase, Maryland, has done a masterful job in capturing the dignity, the devotion to duty, and the determination of Dr. Revel. When the Dr. Revel stamp is issued next year, it will serve, very certainly we feel, as a fitting testimony to one of America's truly great educators. Before they announce to you that you will see 2 zeros on this stamp, and I wish to point out that this indicates only that the actual denomination of the stamp will be determined by the needs of the Postal Service at the time when the stamp is issued next year. I would now like to ask Mr. Nathan Appleman or Mr. Norman Levy, as representative of Dr. Revel's family, to please come forward and join with me in the unveiling. And I would also like to ask Dr. Norman Lamm, president of Yeshiva, to do so similarly. And also would Mr. Herbert Tenzer, former Congressman Tenzer, who is chairman of the Board of Trustees, come forward for this purpose. And Mr. Jack Weiler. And finally, can I have the assistance of Dr. Miller?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is not for now. We'll do it later. You can't do
Norman F. Levy.
Hey, how are you? All right. Nice people. You want to conclude this ceremony?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to announce that the stamp will be issued in 1986 and that a first day cover can be ordered today at a specially designated table outside of this auditorium. We look forward to all present today attending the issuance and cancellation of the stamp in the fall of 1986, corresponding to the 100th anniversary of the university. I should like to remind the audience that a portrait of Dr. Bernard Revel, opening at 1:30 at the Yeshiva University Museum, will be available for our viewing today. I'd like to thank everybody on the stage, particularly to thank the New York Postal Band, who will entertain us with a medley of tunes as we leave the auditorium. We ask the guests who are here to please remain with us for a few moments. I notice that the pictures are still being taken. We will end in just a moment. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having us.
It's a pleasure. You're coming for lunch, aren't you?
I'd like to remain.
Please. Yeah.
Why doesn't this stand at Yeshiva University?
Huh?
This is Yeshiva University.
The reason it doesn't is because they said that there are so many universities that have 100th anniversaries. All right, just work while I'm letting him up.
Congratulations, it's always good. Never know, you see.
Shangaland.
Why not?
Thank you, Jeffrey. And two sons. One of them wasn't even married. Those who are going to lunch is across the street in the Science Hall at 12:30.